All right. So okay, now let me check levels.
Checking 1, 2 levels. This is my regular speaking voice. And when I get it in the conversational range here.
All right, sounds good. When I get excited, I get loud too. So it's all good.
Of course. You bring up Pierre-Luc Dubois, I'm getting a couple extra decibels there.
Yeah, I hear you there. That's really annoying. Who's your player of the game?
Oh God. I've been flipping and flopping on this one, and yeah, like probably Perot.
Perot?
Yeah.
Frenchie, going with your boy?
It was either Ehlers or Frenchie.
And I picked Ehlers, so thank you for picking Frenchie.
Oh, okay. Hey, no worries. That's good. I honestly kind of figured you were going to take Ehlers because he was the only guy, like, who, when he touched the puck, where you were actually like, could we score a goal? Is it possible?
Yeah, right? If you're hanging out with us so far, the show will be starting at around 11 o'clock. So hang on to your hats. We will be going live right then. welcome to another episode of the LZ Sports Show. I am your host, Mark Adam. I am here in my basement socially distancing so that eventually we don't have to be socially distancing. I would like to welcome my co-host today, who is not the usual Keith McKnight. I am joined by Mr. Carey Bilkowski, musician, photographer, and seer of the future, I guess.
Occasional and never when it counts, seer of the future. Absolutely.
Yeah. Unfortunately, not working out in our favor at the moment. You're the one time you are wrong so far is you said the Jets were going to beat the Canadiens, and it's getting dicey.
It's there's still a chance. It's not over until it's over. But I agree, it is like a Dungeons and Dragons game in here, in that it is extremely dicey.
Yes, many dice. So do we dive right in? I think we should. First, I should let everybody know that you can follow us on all the social medias. So Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, YouTube, Twitch, all of that. Please like and subscribe on YouTube. Follow us on Twitch, all that stuff. But when you like the video, that really goes a long way to helping YouTube's algorithm get it out to more people. So the more people are clicking the like button, the better. So we'd greatly appreciate that. Shout out to those that are in the chat box today. Namely, James Robinson has said hello so far. If you are watching, there's a few of you there. So go ahead and say something in the chat. Let us know you're there, and we want to hear from you. This is a fun little thing that we do, so that you feel free to fill up our chat box. You can also call or text us on the WPG Sports line, 431-800-4555, or you can email the LZ at thewpg.ca. Yeah, good times. I'm going to now just run our quick little ad. We'll be back in 30 seconds, and we'll get right into it.
Make your house a better place to come home to with Aquatech Pool, Spa, and Bath. We've been delivering complete customer satisfaction for over 40 years. Whether it's a fully completed backyard escape, a completely renovated bathroom, or a premium upgrade on outdoor furniture, Aquatech is the only name you need to know. That's because if it's an Aquatech job, it's an Aquatech team working on it. No outsourcing, no subcontractors. We do it all. Visit our one-of-a-kind showroom today at 1065 Dugald Road. Aquatech Pool, Spa, and Bath. We create better places to come home to.
And we are back. Thank you for being here. I want to point out that James Robinson already in the chat. I said I was pumped to be here. And he said, not so much feeling... I'm going to just throw that on there. There we go. Not so much feeling pumped as deflated after last night, which is an unfortunately fair thing to say. Mr. Bilkowski, let's get rolling. I'm going to show the stats here. So... having a look at this, the 5-1 thing, that's pretty gross. Don't like it at all. The Habs managing an equal 33 shots to their last game. The Jets at 27. 52% in the faceoff circle for the Jets versus the Canadiens 48. The Jets went 0 for 2 on the power play, where the Canadiens had a plethora of opportunities, getting 1 out of their 5 chances. 10 penalty minutes for the Jets, and undisciplined penalties, I should say, and only 4 for the Canadiens. 32 hits for the Jets, which is quite a bit less than we've been used to seeing them in the playoffs, where the Canadiens only throw in 23. The score sheet shows a little bit more of the story here. Lowry getting the lone goal for the Jets from Appleton and Perreault. From DM Perreault, apparently. It's just Matthew Perreault. Matthew, I guess, if you're going with the French. Matthew, Hellebuck, 28 for 32. Not a great day for him. .875 save percentage. Price stopping all but 1 of the 27 shots at him. .963 save percentage. The game, again, it goes around tonight. Armia with a 3-point night. Not great. You never want to give up 3 points to anybody, particularly an ex-player of your team. So a former Jet getting all those points. Suzuki Lehkonen, Perry also getting goals. And then there was a litany of Montreal Canadiens with assists, Gallagher included. Not a good time if you are the Winnipeg Jets. So the playoff picture looks like this. Montreal, a stranglehold on that series, 3-0. The Islanders fighting Boston off. That series tied at 2. Carolina looking like they may give it away to Tampa Bay. Finally, somebody winning a game at home in that series. Tampa Bay won the game 4 in their own arena. Other than that, all the wins were on the road. In Colorado, now tied with Vegas. Vegas played 2 possessed games in their own arena as well to tie that series up. After the first game, it looked like the Colorado Avalanche were going to run away with this game, but they didn't. The Vegas Golden Knights woke up, and here we are. So, Mr. Bilkowski, hit me with who you thought, before we get into the negatives, was a positive for the Jets last night. Shall we?
Sure. I'll even have to asterisk this one a little bit. But Matthew Perreault, I saw him out there moving his legs, getting in there, forechecking, doing everything he can to disrupt Montreal. And, he to me was one of only a handful of players who was playing the right kind of hockey to where we might actually be able to beat this team. But the problem is he only had 10 and a half minutes of ice time yesterday. And when the guys who are playing best for you are only on the ice for a very small portion of the game, that's not a recipe for success at all.
No, you are very correct. That's not how you want to go down. Unfortunately, that is how it went down. And for me, the player of the game, I thought the guy that played the best was Nikolai Ehlers. I thought he made the fewest mistakes. I thought he was skating hard. His effort was always there. His passing was as good as it's ever been. And, I just think the rest of the Jets need to catch up to that. He was the only heads up smart player on the Jets at all last night. Everybody just sort of let their emotions take over, and they were making silly decisions, and it didn't look like the Jets team that we were used to seeing earlier on in the season and in that series against Edmonton. That squad and this team that's playing against the Montreal Canadiens, 2 separate entities. So Katie Neufeld liking the stream. I like it. So let's get to it then. I guess Stastny was back. That's kind of something.
He was physically present during this game. That is correct.
That's a distinction that we need to make. He was dressed and skinny.
He did not look 100%. No. He single-handedly coughed up a puck that led to a shorthanded goal for Montreal. He did not play like the Paul Stastny that you want on the ice.
He didn't play like Mr. 1,000 games in the NHL, Paul Stastny.
No. Unfortunately, it definitely seemed like something was still bothering him. And it could just be the black cloud that's sort of hovering over the Jets right now.
Yeah.
Or it could be injury related.
I really hope it isn't injury related. I wouldn't want him to come back before he's ready,
You wouldn't want that, but you also can see a increasingly desperate Winnipeg Jets team that is going to do what they can to keep veterans in the lineup and make something happen and manufacture something to try and figure literally anything out to overcome the Canadiens.
Yeah, and limited in choices. DeMello still out with an injury, potentially for the rest of the season. If it could be over tonight, who knows? Here's hoping that is not the case. I wore this jersey because I got my Keith McKnight tinfoil hat on, and I was like, they lost when I wore my WHA Jets hoodie. They lost when I wore my KFC whiteout hoodie. So now I'm wearing my white Patrick Laine jersey that I was wearing for the bulk of the season when they were having all their success. So I'm in my own head being like, I can affect the outcome of a game by wearing a different shirt. Because that's rational. But DeMello's out, Scheifele's out. What is PoMo to do, really? When you've got these guys that are out and they're big parts of how your team has performed well lately,
oh gosh, what is he to do? That's the $10,000 question, and I don't think there's a simple answer. What he wants to do is sort of play the team that he's comfortable with, which includes having Jordy Ben on the defense.
Yeah.
Which I mean, personally, I don't see it. I have a lot of frustration watching him play. I think he doesn't make a lot of heads up plays. He's pretty slow on the ice. He's got a good stick, but I don't think that makes up for some of the play I've seen coming from him.
Okay. Sorry, I'm just adjusting some stuff here. So forgetting our lineup for half a second.
Yes.
Carey effing Price. And the Habs defense as a whole, but as soon as they get up one goal, they just do that collapse in the middle. Try not to make a mistake, and if you do, you got Carey Price. So it becomes a very frustrating thing when you're playing against them. And when he's on his game, he can steal series, and we're watching it happen. And there's not a whole lot that can be done other than shoot more, right?
Shoot more, try and get some passes across the crease.
East to west.
East to west, exactly. We see the Jets firing. Their defense has more shots in this series than I think I've ever seen in the history of watching the Jets play.
Yeah.
But really what they need to do is they need to crash the net. They need to get in Price's grill, and they need to move the puck and make Price work for it, because he's going to be in a good position and he's going to make a smart save 10 times out of 10. You need to beat him. You can't just expect him to let something through.
Yeah, and that's something that we were watching the game last night, doing a little bit of a hangout stream, testing all the settings, make sure it worked. But the one of the things that Zoner and I were talking about, when the Jets are shooting the puck, there's nobody in front. There's nobody.
Yeah.
You got Logan Stanley lining up a bomb, and there's Stastny sort of standing off to the side of the net with his stick out trying to tap something as it goes by him, but nobody's getting in front of Carey Price. You're not going to beat Carey Price on a straight shot from the point. You're just not.
Yeah, my observation was you saw a few times the Jets trying to sort of set up shop in front of Price, but then you've got these big, strong Montreal players, be it Sherratt or Weber, who just come and basically clear it out like they're curling and clearing the house, like push whoever's there out of the way, and you don't see a lot of pushback from the Jets,
Yeah.
and I know that they're not known for their big, strong power forwards who are going to be in there and fight, but you gotta do it. It's the playoffs. You're not going to score, rockets from the point that often.
No.
You've got to get dirty, greasy, ugly goals.
Greasy and ugly is the way to go. That is how you're going to beat these guys. And while we were hanging out last night, Simon Leung was even in the chat, a fellow who usually sits in our chat here. And he was saying that, that's what the Jets need to do, is get these greasy goals, because that's how everyone else is scoring. And that's exactly, to your point, that's how you score goals in the playoffs. So they've got to start shooting the puck, not just to score. They've got to shoot the puck to look for rebounds, to look for tips. They've got to, like you said, move that puck east-west, make Carey Price move side to side. The couple of chances we had, there was one where that puck came across and Kopp absolutely hammered it. and because it came east-west, Carey Price just got there in time, and had Kopp placed that puck better, there was more net available to him. But I mean, his shot is not the most accurate on the team. I get it, but that's what's needed, is that east-west movement with quick shots, one-timers, that kind of thing. And they're looking for that perfect shot, trying to beat Carey Price one-on-one with, this is the shot that will beat him. That's not going to happen. Give that thought up. Shoot the puck, look for rebounds, get in there, get greasy, get it done. And they're just not doing that. I thought that their unwillingness to shoot the damn puck was a huge factor in not scoring. 27 shots, sure, but 27 shots from the outside with very little traffic in the middle doesn't help. Very few grade A chances. And when we got those grade A chances, Carey Price is a goalie that's going to make those go away. Like if it's just one shot, you're not going to beat him. But,
well, and I mean, you can see just our only goal of the game was because of an incredible just cross crease pass from Perreault that Price didn't have a chance on. And fortunately, Lowry got under that puck as well, because if he had shot it along the ice, that wouldn't have been a goal. So yeah, that's the sort of stuff you have to do. You have to make him work for it. You can't just pepper little, half-hearted wrist shots or things like that.
Yeah. Going to the chat, James Robinson says the Jets are not even doing much to test the Habs defense or Carey Price. Are the Jets trying to give the Habs hope for the third round? I don't know, maybe, I suppose. He also goes on to say the Jets had traffic in front of Price. I saw a Jet do a flyby in front of Price on a point shot from the blue line once.
Okay, I was about to question what game you were watching, James.
No, he went with the sarcastic approach. I like it.
When we did see some traffic in front of Price was Pierre-Luc Dubois was, sort of jostling and grabbing onto Price's stick. And I mean, in that scrum, he ended up taking a cross-checking penalty, which, a lot of people were calling a frustration penalty, and I don't disagree with that call. I do actually disagree with the referee's call, though. I think that's a little bit of a soft one for a middle of the playoff game sort of penalty to be given.
Yeah, there was a couple of those. The Canadiens, though, they were under the Jets' skin, and the Jets let themselves get undisciplined. They were very retaliatory, and they were thinking about, how can I get that guy back, instead of like punish him on the scoreboard, and that's how we'll get him back, and it was very frustrating to watch from where I was sitting. What were your thoughts on that?
I think the Jets were frustrated, and they wore it on their sleeves. There was no no denying that. I think you saw at one point Andrew Kopp throwing a bunch of cross checks to the face and neck of a Montreal player who was sort of posted up in front of Hellebuck. He didn't like that. At one point, and forgive me, I forget who it was, but later in the game, one of the Montreal players sort of took a little slash at Hellebuck's glove after he made a save. And then that led to a sort of scrum rate. I think, about 5 minutes left in the game, if I'm not mistaken. I mean, it was frustrating to watch the Jets unravel like that, because they normally aren't that undisciplined.
And
team.
They really did unravel. They really did.
Yeah. Honestly, they held it together, and I can see in the chat, Simon Lung here is saying 2 unlucky crossbars, Wheeler, and it was Ehlers. Those could have changed the entire game. I agree 100%. The entire tone of the game would have been different if even one of those goals had gone in, because, that's the sort of thing that frustrated the Jets eventually is, we can't get any chances, and then we finally do, and ping off the iron.
Yeah. And just unfortunate over and over again that they just, let themselves get frustrated. They let themselves fall into that trap, and that was the game that the Canadiens were playing. When you go head to head, the Jets are just a better team than the Canadiens. But when you let a team like them get underneath your skin, you're causing your own problems. You're going to become your own worst enemy, and they really need to avoid getting to that point. They can't let the Canadiens get under their skin. Forget those guys. They are not worth it. They're not worth it. Just play your game. Like, they had a game plan and they abandoned it in favor of retaliating. And I don't like it. I don't like seeing that, the undisciplined play. I don't like seeing Paul Maurice running the benches short either. I think they got to run more lines, give those number 1 and 2 lines more rest. Our third and fourth lines are very capable.
Oh man, it's so frustrating seeing Nate Thompson, Vesalainen, and Lewis getting under 10 minutes in a game. In the case of Vesalainen, I think he only played about 6 minutes yesterday.
Yeah.
And that's a guy with fresh legs and good hands who could actually be, maybe the spark that you need to get
in a
going
playoff game. Those guys are the ones that are going to dig you out of a hole, right? It's not the first and second line guys. Those guys are being targeted and shut down. That third and fourth line battle matters a lot. And we have probably the best third and fourth lines in the league when we have a full squad, that is. And those guys have to play more. I just think that that's the case. I do.
Nate Thompson was perfect in the face-off circle yesterday.
Well,
it was 3 face-offs, but he did not lose one. I mean, at a certain point, don't you just keep him in there until he loses? Like, you see something that's working, go for it.
And their forecheck was great. Their defending in their own zone was great. Every time they were on the ice, it was good momentum shifting stuff. I wanted to see more of those guys. You need to see more of those guys. Third and fourth line have to be given more ice time. Roll the full squad. At this point, desperation time. Forget your superstars. They haven't got the job done in 3 games. Give some opportunity to other people.
Well, yeah. I mean, our third line, and it's a little bit different than it has been throughout the season, but it's still one of the best. When you've got Lowry, Perreault, and Appleton, those guys can make all sorts of things happen. Like I said, Matthew Perreault was my player of the game yesterday. He was hustling and skating hard. Adam Lowry is almost always the heart of our team. Mm-hmm. He's the guy who's fighting hard, who's making the right, smart decisions. I mean, he got the only goal of the game yesterday as well. So at what point do you play him more than 13 minutes or 14 minutes? Get them in there.
Driving me nuts. And speaking of the Jets not holding on to their game plan, from the chat, James Robinson is saying the Habs have a game plan and are playing it perfectly. He also said the Jets are a union, seniority before youth in all cases. So that he's talking about what we were just talking about there. The Habs are their plan is to get under the Jets' skin because that is how they're going to unbalance the Jets, and they've done it perfectly 3 games in a row, stealing 2 in Winnipeg from the favorites, and then winning that one back in Montreal. Tonight is it. There's no more chances. There's no more, all right, well, we'll get them next time. There's no next time. There's next season. And when you're sitting in in a spot like that, yeah, I agree. And the Jets favoring all these vets instead of the younger, it's just, that has to be over. Paul Maurice, I know you don't watch this show, I'm sure, but if you hear anything from this show, hear this: play all 4 lines.
Oh man, play all 4 lines and play some of your bench guys like Jordy Ben. I know he was traded for, at the deadline, and he was our big acquisition, and he was going to be the veteran grit that would help us and be our depth in the playoffs. But where's Ville Heinola? That guy was an actual proven asset for the team.
I get why they would be hesitant to play him in some of the bigger moments. He made some serious mistakes, costly mistakes. Even though he played very well, the mistakes he made proved costly. So I get their hesitance to put him out there in clutch situations. But I'm with you on the point that what do you got to lose at this point? There's no more chances.
Yeah, I mean, I hate to keep ragging on Ben because I don't even think he's a bad player per se. I just think maybe he isn't the right fit where he's playing with the Jets. And, the same thing goes, like, if Stastny's not healthy, you can't drag him out there and force him to play and ultimately cost your team. Like, you have depth. You have, our good buddy Don Tomato sitting on the Black Aces squad, like, just aching to get in there and have a chance.
And we haven't seen any Harkins in this. Harkins play of all the taxi squad sort of healthy scratch guys that we've had all season. Harkins has played the most games.
Yes.
Get him in there. Honestly, at this point, and I've defended Dubois all season, and you know this, because I think that trade for Laine was a good trade, or I thought at the time, and I was just like, guys, it's okay. But right now, I think Dubois should sit. I think he's not playing well. He's either hurt or useless, and I would like to think that it is not the latter. I'm hoping it's the former. And I'm not that I'm hoping he's hurt, but something's got to give here. And Simon Young in the chat saying the Habs are doing to us what we did to the Oilers, right?
Yeah, absolutely. Just stifling our top guys, making their lives miserable, and yeah, just frustrating the team.
Which is really frustrating to me because we don't have a McDrysaddle situation. We don't have one line that's productive. We don't have two guys.
We sure don't.
Two guys that make the difference. We have an entire team of talented players that when you let them play, they do good things. Give the guys on the third and fourth line more ice time. That's going to be my broken record for the day, is just play these guys more. God, I'm very frustrated.
So I'll step in. I've been Dubois' biggest sort of defender all season. I think what you saw yesterday was just awful, just terrible, terrible hockey to be playing, in the second round of the playoffs. When that trade happened, I was scared because, we have a proven asset in Patrick Laine. And I didn't really know this Dubois other than I had seen he had lit up the Maple Leafs in the playoffs last year. As the season progressed, Dubois scored a few points, and Laine kind of just fell off a cliff and had a complete breakdown. And I was thinking, wow, we really won this trade. But Dubois is just, something happened to him too. He hasn't scored in over 20 games. And he's trying to be like a first or a second line player. If you're not scoring for 20 games, you had better have the rest of your game just absolutely packed up tight. You better be the best two-way forward on the ice all the time.
And he isn't.
And he has been. There's been games where he's played incredible, hard on the boards, puck possession hockey, and created space and helped his guys.
But has he done it twice in a row? Has he put two games together in a row?
Certainly not recently. This series, he's been a liability.
100%. And I think at this point, sit him, figure out what his problem is, let him, eat some popcorn and hang out. But put in Vesalainen, put in Harkins, get these guys going.
Yes.
Activate these younger guys who are hungry. Tonight, what do you got to lose? And and being agreed with in the chat yet again, James Robinson says, what is the point of building a deep team if the coach doesn't utilize the depth? Ducharme has no first line, and their fourth line is used more like a second line. So, honestly, just play your whole team. Oh, my God. How hard is the concept at this point? Those guys are reliable. They're not a liability. And your top two lines are being run down and targeted, and that's where people are watching all the film. They know how to shut those guys down. Be unpredictable. Play 4 lines equal time. That's what I want to see tonight. I want to see every forward have almost
like Wheeler and Connor, and they're both a -4 on the night. Clearly, your first line's not working. You gotta get down the depth a little bit. You gotta get those third and fourth line guys going.
From the chat, Maurice seems to be playing Dubois the same way he played Little. Little was an underrated player that drew a lot of the same criticisms that Dubois is now. Thoughts on that?
I see them being pretty similar players. They have a similar play style. They both have had a lot of untapped potential that you would see flashes of, but you never really saw it sort of completely come to fruition. Just talking about it now, man, I miss Brian Little. That guy was great for the Jets. He was just a rock and someone you could really count on to do good things. Yeah. And it's really tragic that he likely won't play any more hockey, because he was a great player, and it was an unfortunate sort of freak accident that injured him and knocked him out.
I am very sad that he is gone. Long-term IR is officially his status, but I think it has been accepted that he is just not returning to hockey. He's going to wait out the end of his contract and then just be done with it. Thoughts?
Yeah. Like I said, I'm sad about it. I don't have any sort of false hope about seeing Little coming back. And even if he did, I would imagine he would need some serious training to get back into professional hockey shape.
Yeah, that is an unfortunate truth. Quickly, just want to remind everyone, follow us on all the social medias, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, YouTube, Twitch. You can support the stream by going to streamlabs.com/thewpg magazine. Actually, it's kind of cool. If you go to streamlabs.com/thewpg magazine/V2, as in version 2, I guess, you can actually watch the stream there and support the stream from there. Kind of neat, just so you know. But do like and subscribe, especially on YouTube. The liking the video, sharing the video, all that kind of stuff, that really helps the algorithm. It helps us get this video in front of more eyeballs, and the more people that find us, the more fun we have over here. Just so you know. That is how we do things over here. And again, don't forget, you can also call and text the WPG Sports Line, 431-800-4555. And you can email thelz@thewpg.ca. Back to the grind over here. Shall we switch gears a little bit? I know everybody in Winnipeg land is a little bit sad, so let's take a small break. Let's talk about the other game that happened last night. The Vikings, I always say Vikings because it comes up VGK, and for some reason that's where my brain goes. So the Vikings, the Vegas Golden Knights, they absolutely put on a clinic last night against what I consider to be the best team in the NHL right now. And they beat the Colorado Avalanche 5-1. The same score, by the way, that the Montreal Canadiens beat the Jets last night. So 2 5-1 games. But that game, if you watched it at all, was way more exciting. It was chaos all the time. Just pucks flying everywhere, people smashing into people. And of course it helps that they have full stadiums over there essentially. So Ron McLean said it. He said when they went from that Winnipeg game to the Vegas Golden Knights game that other week, how jarring it was going from the 500 healthcare workers to a full stadium, and what a difference that made. And honestly, the intensity of the game is way higher there. So what did you think of that outcome there last night from the Golden Knights, the Vikings, if you will?
So I mean, yeah, talking about having the building full of fans, that Las Vegas arena, when it is going, it is absolutely just bouncing. Like there's so much energy in that building. The fans have grown to love that team. And that's honestly when I made my prediction on the last show that Vegas was going to come back and win the series. That's what I was basing it on, was just the fact that they were fueled by the fans and made, just huge strides to beat the Avalanche. And they, again, yesterday, having an arena, man, I hate to just bring it back to the Jets again, but could you imagine if game 1 and 2 against Montreal, we had an arena with 16,000 fans screaming in it? It would be a completely different energy and a completely different hockey game.
Yeah, the Jets arena is one of, if not the loudest arenas in the game when it's full. So
yeah, I mean, it's pretty well known that opposing players hate playing in Winnipeg. They'll say it's because they hate being in Winnipeg. But I know it's because our fans are just that supportive and that loud and love to sort of boost the Jets and push them along. Yeah, so I mean, it's very frustrating, which is a common word that's happening today, but it's very frustrating seeing how important the fans are to the Vegas game, and how much that's affecting that series.
Yeah.
Now, having said that, I'm seeing a lot of chatter on the internet that, oh man, whatever Canadian team makes it through to the next round, they're going to get completely bodied because there's such a fast and very, skilled game happening in the States. But honestly, I think if Montreal makes it through, you're going to see whoever they face having a lot of trouble against them, because Montreal plays that trap and they are defensively stifling, and it's going to be very boring, very annoying hockey for whatever team has to go up against, let's say, either Canadian team that makes it through.
Yeah, and that's leaving a lot of hope and stuff open there, whichever Canadian team makes it through. Right now,
it's not over
I
yet.
know, and listen, I'm wearing this jersey. I have hope, right? And I really believe that they can do it. And you were pointing out before we started the broadcast that how many teams have come back from 3-0 down in a series, and we have a connection there. Go ahead.
So if I'm not mistaken, it's only 3 times in the NHL that a team has come back from a 3-0 playoff deficit to win the series. And one of those teams was the Philadelphia Flyers against the Boston Bruins, when our very own Blake Wheeler was on those Bruins. So he has actually been a part of a series where a 3-0 lead was crushed and the team came back. Now, granted, he was on the wrong side of that, but he knows that can happen. And I hope beyond hope that right now he's in the locker room grabbing all his players by the collar and shaking that into them and saying, there's still a chance. We can do this. Just get your ass in gear. Let's go.
Yeah, it's so frustrating sitting here and we're like armchair coaching. We're just like, I know what's best for this team. What does Paul Maurice know?
Yeah, Paul Maurice, just because he's coached for 11 trillion games in the NHL, he just thinks he knows what he's talking about. Hey?
Yeah.
It's also so funny that a week and a half ago, Paul Maurice was everybody's favorite coach of the year, best coach I've ever seen in my life. I can't believe it. I'll never say anything bad about Maurice again.
9 days later.
9 days later, people are calling for his head again, saying fire him. He lost the room. All the stuff that they were saying, during our losing streak towards the end of the season.
I do have a clip. This is a highlight package from the series that the Jets have played against the Canadiens so far. It's got no sound. I'm sorry. Oh, yeah. Look at the struggle. The struggle is real.
Oh no.
Oh no. Oh no. Oh, now it's just gonna loop. No big deal. Yeah. So honestly,
Was that a piece of fried chicken I saw floating?
uh, it's not good times in Winnipeg, guys. This something's got to give, and I really honestly think the best way to solve this problem is to get back to the basics and get the Jets rolling all four lines again. Like our third and fourth lines, I can't stress enough how good they are. So another piece we got to talk about. Oh, Canada, we beat the Finnish team. So we got the big win in Latvia after going 0 for 3 to start the tournament. They rally.
You hear that, people? You can go 0 for 3 and still win.
Yeah, absolutely. They rallied. They figured it out. They went through all the extra hoops they had to go through. Finally made it. They beat the U.S. in the semifinal, which always feels good. And then they continued on down that road and beat the Finns. And listen, Finland has become one of the world's powers in hockey. For the longest time, it was Canada, the U.S., Russia, Sweden, and the Czechs, right? But I think the Czechs have really fallen off in recent years, and I think Finland has very much poured it on over the last decade or two even. But it's just they get better every year, the Finns. And so when you see them in the World Juniors or the World Hockey Championships or the Olympics or whatever, the Finns pose a huge threat. And I like seeing that. Gold perfetti, says James Robinson in the chat. I like it.
Gotta love it. You've got gold medalist Cole Perfetti, who is, he's committed to the Jets, and he could be a big part of the future.
I really think so too. I mean, it's great that he won that tournament, but is he back in time? Can he play? Let's put him in. Honestly, like at this point, like.
Get him on the Concorde and get his ass here.
But congratulations to Team Canada. I love seeing gold. The Hockey Canada program, probably the most successful hockey program on the planet. And we've got the talent. Everybody in our country, I say everybody as a giant generalization, but the vast majority of Canadians are very hockey-centric, which I really like. I don't even know if he spelled that right either. Gowank? No idea. We'll leave that one alone. But what I did like, that golden goal, the sudden death, overtime period.
Oh,
and
just a beautiful, unselfish
those two
play.
Guys skating up the ice, both of them play for the Ottawa Senators.
Senators.
So you got Paul and Brown, and they just walked up, and the Ottawa Senators really started to figure themselves out late in this season. They are going to be a force to be reckoned with if they can maintain any of that momentum at all going into next season. So look out in Ottawa. That's going to be good times. And an example of why they're scary is exactly what we were talking about, that gold medal game. Those guys were phenomenal in it, and then for them to score the winning goal, the two of them going back and forth up the ice, 3-on-3. Love it. I love it. That gets me pumped. I'm no Ottawa fan by any stretch, but I love when Canadian teams are good. I love when it's competitive. I love watching the Jets win, don't get me wrong. But if they just won every game, how boring would that be, right? I mean...
yeah, I mean, I guess it would be boring, but if my team I'm rooting for wins every single game, that's also the most exciting and the greatest.
That's fair. I see that point of view. Absolutely. And just to add to that real quick. That's not what I wanted to do. Does this work? Oh, it does. Look, it shows the people that are watching. Right on. Looks like John is here in the chat. That's really cute. I like it.
So, speaking of Canadian players playing for Canadian teams who did very well in that series, Mangiapane, who, has been kind of the foil of the Jets playing the Flames a couple of times this past season. He had an incredible tournament. I think he had 7 goals.
He's got a fun name to say. Mangiapane. He's just got a great name.
Yeah. Honestly, his name was one of the catalysts for me originally hating Harani and Singh, because he scored a crucial goal against the Jets, and he Mangiapane and put his wonderful vibrato into it, which is it's a lot of fun unless you've just been scored against and you're
salt in the wound at that
had
point.
Your will crushed. Yeah, exactly.
James Robinson in the chat says all the Sens need is some steady goaltendies, which I don't disagree. I think if they get some steady goaltending, because was it Goodbranson, or how do you say his name?
I think you got it.
Well, oh no, Anyway, their goaltending this year was good sometimes and not great other times. Then the games they won by outscoring their opponents, not by defending well. So they've got some work to do on the defensive side of the puck for sure. But they're going to be an exciting team to watch next year, one way or the other. And this little feature that I just had there, where you see the names at the bottom, you see one of them there says "Here to record," and the software that I'm using to show that on the screen and where the chats are popping up and stuff, he wrote this program. So that's really exciting. So thank you for watching and checking out how I'm using your app. I didn't program the ticker properly before the show. I didn't really know what to put in it because we lost last night. We're a little bit more somber today. So normally there is like a ticker function in this thing where you can turn it on and it comes across the bottom here, and just roll our sponsor credit and whatever. And the way that we're using it is a lot of fun. We will be using that a lot more now that I know that the computer can handle it and all that. So that is a thing that we will be doing more of. However, I just wanted to shout out to him. Thank you for watching. I really appreciate that. That's great. But back to the matter at hand. One last subject before we go. Let's talk about Taya Currie being drafted in the CHL. The first woman to be drafted in the CHL, the primary draft there. She was drafted by the Sarnia Sting, and she's a goaltender. Very exciting times. What are your thoughts on the news there, Mr. Bilkowski?
I think it's awesome. I think it's great to see, women excelling in hockey and getting up there and playing with the guys. And the OHL is a very competitive league. You see some of the best players in the NHL have come up through that system. She is 16 years old, which is, in itself, when I think about where I was at 16, it certainly wasn't being an elite goaltender getting into a semi-professional league.
Amanda Velutini in the chat just said, "Woot, go Chicks!" So,
yeah, no, awesome. I'm a big fan of women coming up in the sport and being competitive, and I'm hoping she has all the success in the world. And gets to prove that that women are incredible athletes that deserve to be spoken about in the same breath as their male counterparts.
True, and to that point, Amanda Vellucini adding in the chat, women and girls want to play the same hockey as the men play, so I'm happy to see that because women's hockey isn't the same when it comes to full contact. And I wonder if she goes the NCAA route instead of the OHL, says James Robinson. I mean, that'd be a way to go too, because then she also walks away with an education, and like there's lots of advantages to going the NCAA route versus the OHL. I love the idea personally of the Canadian, the CHL approach, because as I'm a huge fan of the Halifax Mooseheads, as I make no mistakes about saying in here, and I love the CHL. I love the talent that it brings and what comes out of that. But at the same time, I totally understand you got to back up. Not only like, because if you go play the NCAA route, you can get picked up, by NHL teams. That's the US version. Like that's their development system basically, is the college route. And then you got players who also have a backup plan when it comes to their careers. So you blow an ACL or, you know what I mean? Something like that. You have something to fall back on, where the CHL route doesn't really, you have to go out of your way to kind of make that and university work together. So it's not apples to apples. So it'll be interesting. And that's a good question there, James, if she goes the NCAA route or if she accepts the OHL draft offer. So we'll see. Time will tell, but it's just exciting to see women getting more recognition in the sport. It's not like, oh, it's nice to see women doing more. They've been doing it the whole time. Just the coverage of it, the access, it's just not been even. And I love to see that representation. Now when you see the NBA commercials, it features like the NBA logo and the WNBA logo side by side. And I really think that the NHL should start doing that as well. And the women's NHL, that, we're getting there. We're getting there slowly. But it's women's hockey. I've always found, like, whenever the women's world championship is on, I watch that. That's great hockey.
It's great hockey. Absolutely.
To Amanda's point though, it's not the same. It doesn't have that same bang, bang, crash bang kind of full contact attitude to it. It's a lot more about the fundamentals and finesse, which isn't necessarily a problem. But it's not going to attract as many viewers as if they were smashing into each other. And, it'll be interesting to see how that all progresses, but I'm hopeful, because I have two daughters and I want them to have the opportunity. If they want to play hockey, I want them to play. If they want to play soccer, I want them to play. Whatever sport they want to play, I want them to enjoy it. Pardon me. That snuck up on me there. I got the hiccups there. But I just want them to enjoy that. I want them to really have the opportunity to do what they want to do. And if they want to play with the boys, play with the boys. Go ahead, right? Why not? We got another comment here from the NHL is building associations there, James Robinson. Yes, do they even have any associations with women's hockey? There's they're starting to get connected with the women's leagues and stuff, and they're trying to figure out how they can partner up and which leagues. Like, do they just develop a WNHL, right? So kind of like the NBA is doing with the women's NBA. So I think that should happen. But Amanda adds to her point saying, hockey is a full body contact sport. Not sure why they decided when women do it, they shouldn't hit. And I can't disagree with you. I want to see them hit. It's a pretty chauvinistic thing to turn around and go like, well, we don't want our women hurting themselves,
Yeah, I think likely a lot of that is a byproduct of a different time where, men ruling the world said, well, we'll let the dainty women play hockey, but we're not going to encourage them to hurt themselves. Yeah. But yeah, I mean, clearly that's a completely dated concept and doesn't hold any water. Women are absolutely as capable and willing to play contact sports.
And that's the thing. If they're willing to play, let them play. Stop censoring the way that they play hockey and the way that they play soccer. Actually, okay, I'll take that back. I don't know if you've ever watched women play soccer. They are vicious. They are ruthless. And I've played a number of games where my like U16 boys team will play the U18 girls team or something like that, and they are relentless, and they give you 0 inches. So the women are already playing the soccer game the same way as the men. So that's awesome. I love that. In Canada, they were always encouraged to play ringette instead. That's true. I know a lot of girls who got pushed down the ringette sort of strategy. If you want to be on the ice, that's fine. But here's this ringed, and just go have fun, right? Women like rings, right? Like I don't know who decided that.
I think we can all agree that ringette as a sport kind of sucks.
Yeah.
Too. Like,
Yeah.
hockey's just way cooler and more fun,
And
and
faster
yeah, it
paced.
sucks
And,
that ringette was the sort of option given to a lot of women.
yeah, I agree, because it is, as Amanda says in the chat there, it's not the same thing. And she wanted to play hockey when she was younger, but like my big brother, that's me. I'm her big brother. This is my sister.
Oh.
Velutini, she married this Venezuelan guy, who, by the way, is not a hockey guy. I don't know how you didn't become a hockey guy and living in Venezuela, but yeah. So she said my mother wouldn't let me. So yeah, mom wouldn't let her play hockey. She gave her the whole go play ringette thing, and that was a thing.
I will say, I played football as a kid, and so did my older sister. And she wasn't just in the sort of like no touch skill position like kicker or anything. She was playing on the line. Like she held her own and kept up with the boys.
James Robinson in the chat says, I fear the outcry of a female hockey player if a female hockey player got badly hurt because she was playing with male players. So that I get that, but at the same time, she's choosing to play this game. I
mean, injuries are a part of hockey.
Like, look at John Tavares. That was an accident. That guy's out forever. Well, not forever, but like,
hopefully.
I mean, you know what I mean? Like, he took a knee to the head and didn't know where he was. Look at Evans laying on the ice like that. Right?
Yeah. Again, just an unfortunate situation,
right?
And it's just part of hockey. And if as long as you have powerful athletes skating at each other at full speed, you're gonna have injuries, and that doesn't matter. What your gender is.
And that's the thing.
People are. I don't
care
hurt.
what your gender is. If you're good enough to play the game, play the game. Like, do it 100%.
Absolutely.
But my problem is. If there's people out there, their argument, some people will say, well, you have to let women play. It's like, I mean, I'm all for letting women play, but I don't think there should be a quota or something where, you have to have X number of women on your team. I don't think that that's good for anybody. That's just going to get people hurt. But I really think, there's people in the chat, Amanda Velutini, there's an inherent risk in any sport. Injuries happen. I agree. So if you're willing to play and you have the skill to play at that level, play at that level. Body checking included. I think the barriers should be broken down. I don't think there should be this boys versus girls. I just think, who are the best players? Play them, right? Don't make it a, this many and that many of what. Like, who cares? If a squad is all men because that's the best players available to that squad, great. If there are women on that squad because they are the better players and they deserve to be on that squad, I'm all for it. I want to see more women representation in sports in general. That's why I also like, not so much as an analyst, but Cassie Campbell as like a color commentator. I like her as a color commentator. I don't necessarily agree with her most of the time when she's doing the analysis stuff, like on the Sportsnet panel there. And Bieksa doesn't agree with her much either, and he tells her right to her face. I love it. He just like, you, Kelly, I'm sorry. No, you're wrong. Cassie, nope, sorry, wrong. I
think Cassie Campbell's a very astute, like super smart hockey mind. She sometimes has some opinions I don't agree with, and tends to be a little bit of a homer for certain teams. But hey, you know what? I'm the biggest Jets homer there is, and I will defend the indefensible.
That's
so
fair.
I certainly don't hold it against
James
her.
Robinson in the chat saying, I don't worry about the outcry from players. He just wants to be specific. He's worried about the outcry from the media. And I get it, but my point still stands. Like, if they're good enough to play, let them play. If they get hurt, that's part of the game. It's not the players, I think, that would be upset about somebody getting hurt or something like that. But, I mean, there is there's a higher chance of them getting hurt because of their physical size generally. And that's a sweeping generalization. But Simon Leung finally joining us here and having us say, I agree women can play, but if a woman got hit the way Evans got hit, imagine the backlash. Shifley's parents already getting verbally attacked and threatened by idiots. True. But if they are skilled enough and strong enough to play in this league, then they should be treated just like any man. They should be treated just like Evans. Just, you know what I mean? It should be the same thing. That's what I think.
Yeah, I don't disagree that there would probably be more media attention if something like that were to happen. But I also don't think that that's a good reason to prevent women from playing in the NHL or any professional level of hockey.
Yeah, I agree. Well, we're running out of time here. Let's have a quick look. This is the bracket right now. Unfortunately we're on the cusp of watching Montreal fade Winnipeg out, but hopefully that doesn't happen. We can turn this ship around. There is time. There's time.
There's still a chance. There's time. There's a chance.
There is hope.
Just, if the Jets who came out last series come out this series, it can be a very different outcome.
Yeah, and it would be great if there were some women out there watching and you want to be part of our panel and you know your stuff when it comes to hockey. We would love to have you. Absolutely. You can. I'll give you Keith McKnight's spot. How's that sound? But we would love to have you. We want this. We're not professionals by any stretch of anyone's imagination. We're here. We're fans of the game, talking about a game that we love. And if you want to talk about it, be on the show. If you're particularly a Jets fan, let's not open it up to. We don't want to bring any Leaf fan ladies in here or anything like that. We don't want Leaf fan gentlemen either. So.
It's a very inclusive show. You're welcome if you're a woman, as long as you're not a Leafs fan.
Exactly. I mean, right. Leafs was an example, but my time zone is terrible though. Yeah, she's I think my sister's a Leafs fan. I'm pretty sure. So yeah, I don't. Amanda says, "Ooh, if they bail out of a hit because it's a woman, that's worse." That's an interesting point.
Again, it brings up a whole conversation about a million different things.
Yeah, there's 1,000 different. Nope, I'm a hockey fan. She says she's not a Leafs fan. She's a hockey fan. Anyway, that said, I think we're out of time here. Thank you for joining us, everybody in the chat. We greatly appreciate that. Thank you for being here. Don't forget, we do have this chat every time, so feel free to hang out. Give us your opinions. We want to hear from you. This is a Jets-centric episode. When the season is over for the Jets, so after they win the cup. Anyway, so when the season is over, we will be moving. The LZ Sports Show will not be following every game sort of deal. It'll move to 1 day a week, and we'll have a set time. And it'll be a longer format. So it won't just be the 1 hour. It will be like 2.5 hours, something to that effect. And it'll cover all Winnipeg sports, Jets, Bombers, Valor FC, and the works. So we look forward to that. But for now, I'm hoping that we get to do a bunch more of these following Jets games, not just tomorrow. So the game is tonight. Get your popcorn ready. We will see you next time in the LZ.